Hey guys, welcome to Project Metal Music's YouTube channel with your host El Young, and we are here with the breed Chris McCoy. So welcome, Chris.
Hey, how you doing? Good to be here.
Yeah, cool, doing well. So Chris, could you tell us what you do?
I'm a keyboard player, songwriter, music producer, and music director.
Cool, cool. So let's dive into some questions. As a kid, what were you listening to?
I grew up in the 70s. The early 70s had a lot of great music. So I listened to a lot of what people call yacht rock nowadays. I'd listen to bands like Ambrosia and Styx and Kansas and Firefall and really everything that was on FM radio that was big in the 70s. And eventually that led to the 80s. And in my youth, I got into Styx, Kansas, Journey, Boston, Foreigner. As I grew up, eventually hard rock and metal, bands like Winger and White Snake and Dokken and the Harder Edge bands. And of course, bands like Bon Jovi that had a lot of keyboards and still had that edge as well. So that was my timeline. I got to experience really what I think is the best era of music that was from the 70s right on up through the 80s.
Yeah, cool. So who actually got you into music? Was it a family member or a friend, or was it just like something happened
Well, something did
naturally
happen.
put your
Yeah,
face up?
the story goes, I was 5 years old, and I was in my parents' basement, and they had this old piano, and I was noodling around on the piano, and I was picking out notes, and my mother noticed I was picking out chords too, and she said, "Wait a minute, you're going to take piano lessons." So she sent me up the street on my bicycle when I was 6 years old to take piano lessons from one of the neighbors. And that got me into it. And eventually I joined the school bands and eventually choir in the church. So my childhood was all music. It was all music centered. I was always doing something with either band practice. I was a horn player. I actually played trombone all the way up through college. And I continued to take piano lessons and so my grandmother on my mother's side was actually a piano teacher, and she was a big influence because she taught uh, in privately in her home, and she also was a choir director in a church and an organist. And the neatest thing she did, and that's probably what kind of guided me more towards my interest in bands, was that she would play the organ in these silent movie houses back in the early days. You'd see these giant Wurlitzer organs in the movie houses, and that was her job. She would do that on top of everything else, and that's kind of what piqued my interest even more, and that got me into it. But she was probably my greatest influence. I would say my grandmother on my mother's side.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. I was gonna ask you about who actually inspired you to say, right, that's it. I want to do this. Was it your grandmother?
My grandmother influenced me, and later on the radio actually I made a connection. I had been listening to music, but I never thought about trying to learn what I was hearing on the radio until Journey came out with that song "Don't Stop Believing," and I actually found myself sitting at the piano one day, and I just kind of picked out the notes, and I thought, this is really neat, and I figured out I could play by ear. So that first time hearing Journey on the radio really inspired me to really want to do that kind of thing as far as being in a band goes, and playing more music. So that was definitely a big inspiration for me growing up.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, cool. Cool. What have you been up to recently? Especially over the last couple of years or so.
The last couple of years been really busy. I was actually picked to perform with a band called Tokyo Motor Fist, which features Steve Brown, who was in Trickster and has played with Def Leppard and a number of other bands. And I performed with them at the M3 Festival at Meriwether Post in 2021, and also on the Monsters of Rock cruise in 2022 this year. So that's been really neat. I've also got a tribute band that I work with out of Philadelphia that does all electric light orchestra music, and Jeff Lynne produced artists, called the ELO Tribute Show. So I've been working a
Yeah.
lot with them. We were on the road this summer in Indiana. So I was there in June, and then we did 2 shows with Tokyo Motor Fest in New Jersey and Philly this summer. A lot of traveling, a little more towards the end of the year with New Jersey with the ELO tribute show. And in fact, we're getting ready to round out the year at the City Winery in Philadelphia. We're going to be playing our last show on December the 29th. So that's a big one. That's actually Jeff Lynne's 75th birthday. So we're celebrating with the venue there. It's going to be a really big show. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the ELO tribute show. Could you tell us a little bit about that? I know it's Jacqueline's 75th birthday next year. Could you tell us a little bit about that? About
Sure.
the
Yeah.
show?
Well, that's a lot of fun. That band, I actually was recruited through Facebook to join that band. Oddly enough, I was standing on my porch on Halloween night in 2018, and I got a text message from one of the founders asking me to audition. So I drove to Philadelphia and did the audition and really liked the band. So honestly, I wasn't a huge ELO fan, but I liked their music. And after playing it and performing it, I love it even more. It's great stuff. Just really enjoy doing the show. What makes the show kind of unique is that we not only do the music of ELO, but we have video running throughout the entire performance, which really adds a nice visual perspective to the whole show and really gives the audience a little something extra to look at while we're performing. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. We do a lot of festival work. We've done a lot of big shows, a lot of casino work. We played the Hard Rock in Atlantic City, and we've been out to Ohio and out to all over New Jersey and New York. And so this is a first for us. We're going to be playing our first hometown show in Philadelphia, where the band is actually from. So we're really excited about that, and it's coming up at the end of the month.
Oh, cool. Cool. So, is there any plans on taking the show on do like a full blown tour of the US or North America?
We do a lot of traveling. So it's usually weekend work. It's not usually a consistent tour. We've done many tours where we'll go out for 3 or 4 shows in a row, but generally nothing extended. Really, it's a lot of like Saturdays, Friday, Saturdays, or even a one-off, just a Saturday here and there. But yeah, we do travel. I'd call it a tour if traveling is the defining term for touring, but nothing extended. No,
Yeah.
we just do here and there. Yeah.
So, are you as a musician? Are you writing any original music, or are you just like concentrating on the ELO tribute at the moment?
Actually, it's interesting you bring that up. I'm involved in a collaboration right now that's original material. There's a guy in Norway named Stian Pian Thoresen, and I'm involved in his collaboration. There's a lot of big names in that collaboration. Bruce Kulick from Kiss is in that. Vinny Appice is involved. Rick Fox from Wasp. Sank Ergaloo from Winger, and just a whole host of other musicians. Lots of keyboard players, lots of guitarists, lots of singers, bass players, drummers. And I'm working on my 4th track for him right now. It's called Vampire's Empire, and that should be out next year in 2023. Probably towards the end of the year, he'll be releasing that record. But very exciting work. Really enjoying that. Right now, that's my focus. I've also done some studio work with Steve Brown. I was in his video for One to Lean On in September. We did the filming of that, and that is now airing on Sirius XM radio. If you get a chance to check it out, it's also on YouTube. The song's called One to Lean On, and that's Steve Brown. So
Yeah, cool.
definitely worth a listen.
Yeah. So, where can people find it if you are on any streaming services? Are you on like say Apple Music or Bandcamp or places like that?
Some of my older work is on Apple iTunes. I believe Steve's song is on Apple iTunes as well. But I had a band in the 90s called Intuition that I was involved in. And you can buy the album. The album is called Turn It On. That is available on iTunes. And as far as streaming, not so much. I've done some work with a guy out of New Orleans that's now on Spotify. His name's Johnny Stasi. He does a lot of music for movie type of soundtrack work, and that's on Spotify. Johnny Stasi, it's Stassi. But yeah, mostly just doing the recording process right now for the other projects I'm involved in.
Yeah. So where can people find the dates for the ELO show?
Uh,
Is there a Facebook page or?
there is. There's a website actually. You can go to the eloshowlive.com, and that will take you to our website. I'm verifying that now because I always type that wrong. Yeah, it's the ELO Show Live. And then we're on Facebook as the ELO Tribute Show. And then, of course, I've got a Facebook page. It's East Coast Keyboardist is my East Coast Keyboardist on Facebook. That's where you can find me as well.
Yeah, cool. I'll put the Facebook, I think it's the right one, the Facebook page for the ELO show in the chat. So people can actually go to the Facebook page and go from there for the ELO show.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get that in there for you.
Yeah.
And that one is actually ELO Show Live. Just going to punch it in here.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a question from one of my subscribers from Sebastian. Yeah, asks any chance of visiting South Africa?
I don't rule anything out. If the promoters can make that happen for us, we would love to go. We'd love to go anywhere in the world, obviously. It's always a matter of getting the promoters to come up with the finances, of course, and then the arrangements and the logistics to make it happen. But, of course, it's a challenging time now, right? We're still living in COVID times. And so traveling is always getting in and out of countries is a challenge as well because of that. Sometimes there are restrictions in place, and we have to, of course, adhere to the policies of those countries. So, but yeah, I'd love to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is probably going to be my last question. Any advice for people who want to become a musician?
Wow. Yeah, a lot of advice for people who want to be. I've been doing this since I was 6 years old. I'm 55 now. If you are serious about becoming a musician, I have a laundry list of things I can tell you. Most importantly, practice every day, even when you don't feel like it. Practice, practice, practice. Work as hard as you can. The harder you work, the more it'll pay off. The second thing I would say is keep your contacts up. I mean, everyone you know, everyone you meet, you never know who's going to point you in the right direction. The way I got the Tokyo Motor Fest show and the big festivals came from one phone call. And it just so happened to be my very best friend knew Steve Brown, and he was looking for a keyboard player in my state to play a show. And that led to a lot of open doors. I got me studio work. It got me a video. It got me festivals, and it got me on the Monsters of Rock crew. So always keep your contacts current. Keep them up. Stay in touch with people. The other thing I'd tell you is you've got to be patient. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of perseverance. You got to hang in there and really be willing to do what you need to do to keep it going. Sometimes that means taking another job. I can tell you, I have another job too. We all have to pay the bills, right? It's not a perfect scenario. And if you're lucky enough to be one of those guys that makes it big, like the Rolling Stones, God bless you. That's wonderful. But it's not always the case, right? Sometimes you have to work that side job to pay bills, and there's nothing wrong with doing that, can balance it and you can work toward it. But stay positive, keep your head up, meet as many people as you can. Everybody's a friend. You gotta make a lot of friends in the business. There are a lot of friends to meet, and yeah, stay in touch. Definitely, that's most important. Keep your contacts up. You never know. Never
Yeah.
know.
Yes. Yeah. Sound advice. Sound advice. So, Chris, thank you so much for coming on and doing this little interview. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, thank you for having me, Al. It was great to meet you, and I really had a great time.
Yeah. So, thank you. So, go check out the ELO show live over on Facebook. That page will have a lot of the details on. I've put the link in the chat, so if you're interested, go check it out and go check out the stuff, Chris stuff, Chris music. So yeah, again, Chris, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks again. Take care. I'll see you.
You, you too.